Hermes, draw near, and to my prayer incline, in arts gymnastic, and in fraud divine.
Dire weapon of the tongue which men revere, be present, Hermes, and thy suppliant here.
Welcome to Third Eye Bind, Episode 21, Triple Goddess, Part 1. Hi, I'm Laura.
And I'm Kaitlyn.
And welcome to Season 3 of Third Eye Bind. We made it!
We did it! 3 seasons.
3 seasons.
Like, not to toot our own horn, but that's kind of like a big fucking deal.
This is our 30th episode, right? 10,
20th.
20, 30. No, wait, 30.
21st.
20.
Thanks, Mike.
21st. Numbers.
We're not math people, okay?
We're not that kind of smart. Okay, so
We're not.
we're not. So
We know
math
our
makes me
strengths.
cry. I have PTSD from doing math homework. It's fine.
Yeah, me too. I used to cry a lot during my math homework.
This
Big
is a theme.
tears.
We are not the only ones this has
Yeah.
happened to.
I do know how to count back change, though. I'm really
I
good
mean,
at
I
that.
do too. I can do basic math,
Yeah.
but
Retail math, that I got.
it's like calculators won out. 90s teachers everywhere.
I guess we will
Fuck you.
always have a calculator in our pocket.
Literally. I can do basic math. It's fine. I'm like a savant with like subtraction.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's season 3.
It's season 3. And
We have some like fun little housekeeping things. Well, first of all, if you like the podcast, if this is your first time listening, you're gonna like it. Welcome. Please like, subscribe, rate, tell your friends.
yes, share, leave comments, repost our Instagram reels and TikToks. Tag us.
Give us attention. Rating actually really does. I think as of now we have, I'm going to get it wrong again. I always get it wrong. 70 ratings
We do.
on Spotify? I think so.
I only see the like average when I log into the
Yeah.
Spotify.
It's 4.9, I think. It's fine. It's good. Whatever.
Oh, that's an A.
We're going to piss some people off. These aren't easy things to talk about.
People get really mad on our YouTube reels.
Oh, yeah?
It's fun. The shorts. Oh, yeah. The Christians.
Oh, yeah, the Christians. I like how when you told me that, I was like, is it the Christians or other witches? You're like, Christians. I was like, okay, good.
Okay, it's fine.
Okay, it's fine. I only give a shit about what other witches have to say. And even then, sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
Anyway. Anywho.
So yes, like us, subscribe, and then if you really love us, please support us on Patreon. Patreon.com/thirdeye-bind.
Like it'll be here. I don't, is it? Do you put it? Mike puts it here.
Amazing.
Yeah.
This project is a labor of love on all 3 of our parts, and we would love to have your support to keep the bright lights on.
Even if it's just $1.
Truly.
Honestly, we appreciate it. And we promise to have more exclusive content this year.
Yes.
For our Patreon
We have a lot of things planned this year.
subscribers.
Also, if you run a really fucking cool witchy, or even if it's not witchy, but it's fun and awesome, like a pizza place, and you would like to sponsor our show, email thirdeyebindpod@gmail.com.
Sure.
Please.
Or info@ladymoon.co, because I know that's an actual email that exists.
That's the right. Just send it to Laura.
Send it to info@ladymoon.co.
We're talking to you, Lucifer's Pizza.
Lucifer's Pizza. Call me back.
We are fans.
Call me back. I'm hungry and I want a pizza sponsor. Okay, another cool thing you may have noticed is that we got new chairs. Who's excited about these chairs? I am.
Me.
Our old chairs were great, but you know, mine was a little uncomfortable and a little like cushy
Yeah.
for my big, tall body. So we decided to have like just some nice even chairs. Like we got the same chairs.
Sponsored by Lady Moon Co.
Sponsored by Lady Moon Co. Thank you, Lady
Thank you, Lady
Moon
Moon Co. for your
these
generous
new
donation.
chairs.
And then we have one more exciting thing to share. Do you want to say it?
Yeah. Okay. We've won an award.
Yes, we have. A major award.
A major award. We've won a Witchy, which is a Witchcraft, Occult, and Media Award for Outstanding New Vlog for 2022. So
thank you to all
for
of our
voting.
Yes, thank you for voting.
Thank you for nominating
to our YouTube
us.
subscribers. Thank you. Yes, thank you for the
we didn't
nominations.
do that ourselves.
And we were nominated for, I think, 4 different categories.
Yeah.
But I think what makes our show so incredible, aside from all the wonderful things we talk about and how hilarious and cute and funny we are,
fucking cute we are.
but I think this visual aspect that everyone's worked so hard to put together, like this stunning set, the incredible lighting, like this is what really sets us apart.
Right.
And I love that we won in a vlog category. So like, watch us on YouTube, subscribe.
We love that you're watching us. That's sort of the point. This is a show. This is different ways to take in the show. You can listen to it. You can watch the video on Spotify. I didn't know if you all knew you could do that, but it'll automatically pop up and populate. At least it does on my iPhone.
Yeah, that's what everybody's been saying. A lot of folks have been watching us on the Spotify. And you get to see our cute outfits.
Yeah. And you can stream us to your TV, and it's like we're on TV.
That's how I watch us on the big TV.
Yeah. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And when we get our physical plaque award, it will be going right fucking here. Right here. I've never won anything in my life, and I am very happy.
So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mercury.
Thank you, Hermes. Thank you, Mercury.
Shall we?
Okay, so what are we talking about today?
Today is the first in a 3-part series.
3 parts.
On what some people refer to as the triple goddess, the maiden, the mother, and the crone.
Yes.
And today we will be discussing all things maiden.
And some of the origins and various threads to find the origins of the triple goddess and the maiden mother crone concept itself.
I'm excited.
There's a lot of information and a lot of just different things, and my brain is full, and I need some guidance. So let's pull a card. Okay, so are we pulling for maiden energy? Okay.
Ooh, is that yes? Okay. Do I cut the deck? Yes. Okay.
What is it?
The Queen of Wands.
Okay.
Yes, which actually I love it for this because of the song that you have on here. The lyrics are, I got my red dress on tonight, dancing in the dark in the pale moonlight.
Okay, Lana Del Rey.
And when we think about maiden energy, there's this freedom of expression that is so deeply intertwined with this phase of the goddess. And when you think about like a youthful femme, or even not even youthful, but like there's something about the red dress and like putting it on and getting out to be seen that is very much like freeing and empowering. And it's like, I don't give a fuck about what anyone else thinks. I put this on to feel like glamorous and gorgeous and just be like into myself. And I think that maiden energy, like all parts of the triple goddess, can be invoked by anyone. I don't think it's necessarily specific to an age range, which is why I corrected myself about youthful. Anybody can find a thing, whether it's a red dress or a certain way of styling your hair or a certain place that you go, that can help you to channel this feeling of freedom and rebellion. I think red is a really rebellious and juicy color. I want to be noticed, and it's not about other people's perception of me. It's because I'm getting off on it knowing that you're noticing me. And I feel like that's really like juicy and delicious, like cherries or strawberries. Like that's very much Maiden energy. And then when we think about the suit of wands, this is a suit of fire. This is the suit of our inspiration, our ideas, the origins of our ideas, so that we have the courage to act upon them. We have the motivation and inspiration to act upon them. And I also feel like that is very intertwined with the maiden, this like origin story, the seedling of the infinite possibilities of the future in front of us. So I think this is a really fun card for the maiden story.
Yeah, that's really funny because in my notes about when I was thinking about the stereotypical, Disney archetype of a maiden, it's a damsel in distress, someone who's helpless, someone who's naive, someone who doesn't know what they're doing, someone who needs to be rescued.
Yep.
And I wrote down like, no, it's freedom. It's freedom. It's maiden energy is free. And it's funny that you just said that, because it's like you're not bound to anything. Like you're not, you can have maiden energy and be in a relationship and be blah 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 and all these things, but like it's that idea of freedom for me, and just like, yeah, just really having that space for yourself to like explore things and be creative and like confident and be really about you, honestly.
Yes.
It's really about yourself.
It's not so much like acting because you have dependence or responsibility. It's acting based on what feels good and right to you in the moment.
And it's choice too. You have options. You're not bogged down by anyone else's or anyone else's life or anybody else's like path for you. It's like vitality. I wrote down open-mindedness, individuality, experimentation.
Yes, I wrote that down too.
You did?
Yes.
And inner child also. And when you're a child, you're not responsible for anyone at all, really. I mean, ideally, like you have the space to do that. Some of us didn't have that or had to like be parents at a very young age and et cetera, et cetera. But that's a part of maiden energy, is being able to like identify with your inner child and to play with them and to, embrace that.
Something that I read a lot of when I was doing the research was like naive. And I do feel like, okay, like all energies, maiden energy exists on a spectrum. So if naive is a less than savory energy that the maiden can have, I think that innocence is a really cool energy that the maiden can have. And I feel like innocence sometimes gets conflated with like purity culture. Yeah. And like I see innocence as this really beautiful optimism that like the world is incredible and that life can be whatever you dream of it to be, because you haven't had those experiences that have caused you to be jaded or heartbroken yet. Like you still have this innocent openness to the beauty in the world around you. And I think that's really cool about the maiden.
Yeah, it's like you don't have anything to push against yet, which is such a nice place to be.
Yeah. You haven't been knocked down.
Haven't been knocked the fuck down by life. I also wrote, because I think, like you said, on the spectrum of maiden energy, there another negative, I guess, something that could be perceived as a negative trait would be like the experimentation and the madness of it. And I wrote down unhinged,
Ophelia.
unhinged in the best way.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's sort of that mad scientist mentality of like having enough audacity to like do some crazy shit.
Yes.
And push against, like, there are no bounds. There are really no, that excites the shit out of me.
And that's definitely one of those spaces that can either drive you to discovering something fucking incredible that you wouldn't have been able to find if you hadn't had the space to take those chances, or like it can drive you into, Ophelia's been on my mind a lot since I started researching for the Maiden episode, but it can also drive you into that space of like deeper and deeper into your madness until you're completely lost
Or dead.
or dead in the water.
In the water.
Sweet Ophelia.
Sweet Ophelia. Yeah. So like everything else we talk about, having balance. I think that's sort of what the triple goddess is about. Sort of. One of the aspects of it is having balance and understanding that. So should we get into like the origins of the triple goddess a little bit?
Well, you tell me, because like
okay,
the term was never really a part of my practice. So
yes.
I want to know what you know.
Okay. So there's a lot of information out there. Like, honestly, I could have researched for like a whole week or two and still not. So I will do my best to try and, I have like mad scientist notes right now. So the triple goddess is a deity or concept that includes 3 different figures in one being. Each symbolize a different stage of the female life cycle and a moon phase. And throughout time, the moon phase that it's represented has changed. So currently it's the waxing, the full, and waning moon. That's where the little crescents on the side of the circle come. Yes, there we go. Thank you. That's the neo-pagan like symbol we all know and love, right? Oh, I gotta cross my leg. Ow, fuck, I got a leg cramp. Okay. It's a little cold in here.
It's chilly.
Okay. And so it can also represent like realms of like heaven, earth, and the underworld. So there's a lot of like, there's phases, right? There's it's a concept that, varies throughout history. So it's not just, my point right now is I'm going to try and get to how it became a neo-pagan symbol. Okay.
Got it.
So I'm going to try to do that. So throughout history, there were a lot of other examples throughout different cultures of the triple goddess. This is not a exclusively European thing, okay? So, for example, the Tridevi is an Indian, I don't know if I'm saying that right, sorry if I'm not, are the goddesses Saraswati, Lakshmi, and Kali, who also has another name because in Indian culture, a lot of them will like appear as other things and like it's very shapeshiftery. So I forgot the other name. It starts with a P, but Kali is a form of that other goddess. So so then there's also like the Greek faiths, the Moirai. Yes, Greek mythology has a lot to do with this. So the fates are like the 3 fates, the 3, they control life, blah, 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 throughout like Greek mythology and all that. So what I found interesting was that there's a lot of men that comment on this concept. A lot of like, this is a very hot topic with like philosophers and like scholars and people of that sort. And so like, there's this woman, I'm going to start with Jane Ellen Harrison. Who was a part of the Cambridge Ritualists, who were like a group of anthropologists at this college, right? And she believed that there was an ancient matriarchal based civilization.
Right.
And all the dudes didn't believe her. she got that idea from this dude who excavated in Crete and saw some shit and was like, oh yeah, this makes a lot of sense. The Cretans like worshipped a single female deity at one point. But Hutton, this dude, was like, nah, you're just getting that from the Virgin Mary. Like he quote says, this is an unmistakable debt to the Virgin Mary. You owe that opinion to this, like, it's like some shade back in the day. Okay. So just to illustrate that, like, this idea that a civilization could worship a female deity is kind of like, this couldn't possibly happen. Yeah. So then this guy named Robert Graves, this is where we get the Maiden Mother Crone that we know of. This is where he was a big fan of Jane Ellen Harrison's.
Okay.
So the Maiden Mother Crone, like how we know it, is credited to this dude who was like a poet, and he was like really into like the Cambridge Ritualists, and he wrote this book called The White Goddess, and he like used that term Maiden Mother Crone a lot in it. And it's accredited to him. Some think it's Aleister Crowley. But I think, this is my hypothesis, that our homeboy Gardner Gerald was a fan of all this shit too, and then sort of took that idea and used it in Wicca. And that, I think, is where it became the most popular. Thank you, I'm done. Holy shit. Okay, so thank you. That made sense, right?
Yeah,
there's also this woman named Marija Gimbutas. I don't know. She's Lithuanian. I have a little Lithuanian in me. I don't know how the fuck to pronounce that, but I just tried. It's definitely not the Spanish pronunciation I just gave you. So she's basically called the grandmother of the goddess movement.
Okay.
And she was like, from what I found, a pretty cool chick, survived like Nazi Germany, and like was a fucking smart woman, and like was really into goddess shit. And but also believed that there was an ancient matriarchal civilization that was fucked up by like the Indo-European like patriarchal worshiping people. So there are people and scholars that were down with this idea.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think it's interesting because growing up in Espiritismo, one of the things that we grow to learn is that basically like it's a big matriarchal cult. That's what it is. And we receive that wisdom and knowledge through the wisdom and knowledge of the African and indigenous ancestors that poured into this Creole spiritual practice. And when you dig deeper, when you think about the world before Espiritismo came to be, which was really the 1800s, it exists because of and in resistance to colonialism, and you go back to like the motherlands, like these are things that are very common. Like the great goddess, there's an Igbo, she's called Alaani, and she's this goddess that like is the earth. And not only does all of creation come from her, but when we die, we all return to her womb as well. And she shows up youthful, full belly motherhood, and like elder crone to like receive the dead into her belly. And then when you think about even like Christianity and Judaism, like in earlier versions of the Bible, God, El, is married to Ashura, and like Ashura is a big fucking deal. Like Ashura is who he built the garden for. Ashura is who he fights wars against other gods for. And so I think it's almost like undeniable. And I often wonder, like, as people spread around all over the world and different ideologies came to exist, like, were we all worshiping the same Great Mother, like the great womb of creation, and just changing the names and the appearances to based on our local culture, which is also really fucking cool. And then like that happens with the Virgin Mary too. As she appears to different people in different places, she intentionally looks like the people she's appearing to. And what I love about Mary is that she will always redirect you to like the mother goddesses who came before her in that place, which I think is why later sects of Christianity get rid of Mary. Like you're not allowed to worship Mary outside of Catholicism. So that's interesting to me. That's chewy.
I think it really, honestly, this is one of the most interesting things I've ever like researched and thought about, because you're right. What I'm getting from all of this convoluted, like who said this, but they said this, but this goddess is this. And I'll get more into like how I feel almost like, why did we need the triple symbol? Like I'm down and I like it. I like it as a modern concept because I love duality and I like knowing that I can be all things at once. But it's almost like it was some sort of solution to like having all that information about female goddesses. Like women are this and women are that, but they're also this, and oh shit, we better just make it very categorical.
We have to separate
because
this.
It's what humans want to do.
Yeah,
we need to separate this.
We love to label things.
Yes, and I think that's sort of what the concept is.
Yeah,
it's an interesting way to like divvy up the different aspects of a goddess.
Yeah. Okay, well, and something I was learning as I was doing research for these episodes about Hecate.
Yes.
Is considered a triple goddess.
Yes.
But Hecate wasn't always a triple goddess. That was something that was implemented later to like, and I guess Selene is one of her faces. I think Athena, or is it
Hecate?
Artemis and Selene are like two of her faces, and it's supposed to be like, again, this maiden mother Crone, but that was something that was like morphed into her lore later.
This is what's fucking interesting about Hecate. Yes, you're right. Hecate doesn't have an origin story or parentage in the Greek mythology.
No, she's a fucking titaness.
Because in real talks, scholars think that she was brought in from another culture. They think it might have been Egyptian. There's a goddess called, I think, Hecate. I don't know, Heket.
Yeah.
And then there was somewhere else too. There was another origin story, but Artemis was sort of the triple goddess. Was like Artemis was there before Hecate, and Hecate and Artemis are very like closely, like they think that they basically sort of said Artemis does all this shit. But she's more like maideny and like, let's make her that. And then like Hecate can be like the darkness and like, and so it was like an aspect of Artemis actually.
Artemis is the maiden. Selene is the mother, and Hecate becomes the crone.
The crone. But Hecate is also.
But she's all of them. And all of it.
But Artemis is also, you could just the way you look at it, like Artemis could also be a triple goddess. Like there's so, because Artemis is a virgin goddess.
She's a Vestal virgin. Yeah.
She's not. I love Artemis like super hardcore because
is Artemis a virgin or is Artemis fucking gay?
Artemis is fucking gay. I love it,
and I love that for her.
It's the bow and arrow.
I love it for all of us. And
yes, for whatever. Artemis knows no bounds. Artemis protects the young, but she doesn't have any.
Yes.
That's why I love, as a childless person, child-free, I love Artemis, and I love that Artemis always, that energy always came to me in my, religionless
She's
life.
like the badass, like
she's
Thea
badass.
That we all
she's
want.
soft. Yes, she's like a
badass auntie,
like an anti-witch.
Yeah.
Yes, protective, but has the time to like do her own thing. But isn't that interesting about Hecate? Like the origin of it, because when people were like, it was like modern day Turkey was the other country. I just remembered it was called something else, but I didn't write it. Oh, Anatolic origins, which is like Turkey nowadays. They were saying that maybe that's where Hecate came from.
Yeah.
And there was a goddess that sounded like that, a word that sounded like that. And then when they travel, like it just kind of travels, like word travels and things, stories travel. And like you're saying,
it evolves with,
it's so fucking interesting. And then here we are in 2023 talking about it like as modern witches, like, but really when you pull these threads, the threads of fate, if you will, you find some really interesting, complicated shit.
Okay, well, now this is reminding me of, I'm going to pull it up, like Ishtar.
Yeah.
Who comes from Mesopotamia, right? Ishtar is the queen of heaven. And Ishtar was part of Babylonian mythology. There's Inanna and there's Ereshkigal, and then Ishtar is associated with them as well. And I'm probably not getting this completely right because I'm, learning it from
it's okay
books written in English by primarily white people, because that's who gets published.
Research is messy.
But so like Inanna is this mother goddess queen, and she's kind of at first maiden and then becomes a mother, but like the process of her becoming a woman is her going down into the underworld where Ereshkigal, her sister, is, and like being stripped of her jewels and her armor and her fine clothing, and she like literally dies and is like hung on a meat hook, and then has to come back to life with the help of her like daemon, her assistant spirit. And there are theories that like Inanna and Ereshkigal are all one person, and that these are just different faces of this same like great womb of creation. And this comes from like Sumeria, like early civilization. So I think that's interesting too. Like there's always this story of a great goddess who transitions into motherhood and then transitions into the underworld, and then the cycle starts all over again.
Yeah, the cycle.
Yeah, and it's
I
everywhere.
think is the key here.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, like the menstrual cycle has a lot. There's probably a way to just understand what the hell that was.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, like
it fucking hurts.
Yeah.
People with wombs should not have to work regular jobs. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If you bleed, you should not have to work a regular job.
Maybe the triple goddess, that cyclical like nature of it was a way to understand that.
Yeah.
Maybe. Or I just thought of something interesting because of like two-spirit and non-binary, and that women anybody can be a woman if they want to be a woman.
Absolutely,
right? If they are, like maybe that cyclical nature is like that sort of transition too. I mean, at least that's a way for us to think about it now, because like, no, for real,
no,
because
that's going to make me cry a little bit.
Because I feel like people probably don't, I mean, I identify as she, her, but I would imagine that the triple goddess and that would make me feel a little like not included if I were to maybe not gravitate towards that, but like thinking about it in like a transitional way to find that womanhood, like.
Yeah. What's interesting is that as I get deeper and deeper into my practice and into my relationship with spirits, something that keeps coming up is that like this, I keep referring to the womb of creation. That's just what I call it. But this like great mother that the entire universe was born from, is everything. Like they're not woman and they're not man, they're everything, because everything was birthed from them, and there was no like partner, like they were their own partner, and they managed to like let all of the entire universe come out of them and form like the galaxies and stars. And thinking about the phases of the moon and the phases of the goddess as like phases in our transitions, if you are like a trans or non-binary person, I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and like I didn't realize I was a non-binary trans person until after I had 2 kids.
Right.
And like I'm a birthing person, but it took getting all the way to that cycle to find myself.
Yeah. And I am a birthing person who does not want to birth. But I am not non-binary. It's just interesting how like, I'm fully female in like my identity.
Right.
But I choose not to birth.
You're what society says should be having kids.
Yeah. But I said, no. I choose not to. And
my little Athena.
yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, I like the mother portion of this. I'm gonna cry. Okay, the mother portion of this is going to be very interesting.
Yeah,
and I don't want to get too much into it, but because that's a heavy one. But yeah, that these identities that we have aren't. There's different like expectations that
come with it.
in place, but we don't need to like fucking care about that, and we need to just do what's right in our spirits and our hearts, because like the categorical nature of Maiden, Mother, Crone, people try and put us into boxes. And like, oh, you menstruate, so you're a woman, or you're not a woman if you don't. And it's like, if I were creating the earth, or the sprung, I would need some people to be able to have humans so that the population would keep going. Totally. And that's evolution, right? Like, and maybe it's just like a trait, and it's not like an identity that you know what I mean? It's something that I have this part. Yeah. You don't have this part. That doesn't mean that like you aren't, you know what I mean? Like
or who you feel and know you are. Exactly. Yeah. Just because.
And that's something that's hard to get your head around, and for a lot of people to get there. 'Cause I've thought a lot about that too with this is like identity, and like, 'cause it's a lot of like very female woman, like, and I'm thinking about like how, like, I'm trying to think of it inclusively, like logistically inclusively, and like, like spiritually, like, what does this all mean?
What does it mean? Miley Cyrus voice.
But I think there's a lot, man. Yeah. The mother episode's going to be heavy. But
I wonder if like
people get all mad and angry, and it's like, we're all just hurting each other. And it's like, please stop.
I kind of wonder if part of like deconstructing our patriarchal society could include, or would benefit from including, people who don't identify as women or don't identify as gender fluid. Cis men is who I'm talking to.
Specifically. Are you talking about men?
I'm talking about specifically cis men. If they viewed themselves and their journey growing from a child to an elder through the lens of the phases of the goddess.
Yes.
If that would soften a lot of the sharp edges.
Yeah.
If they were able to see themselves less as, I wasn't socialized as a young boy, so I can only speak through my observations.
Yeah.
But if growing up wasn't so specific to like, boys should play with Nerf guns and play shooty video games and
No feelings
beat
and,
their
and aggression.
siblings and don't fucking cry. And then like you become a man and you're like tough, and then you become an elder and you're like crotchety. Like what if like cis men also grew up through the lens, viewed their development through the lens of this goddess energy, these 3 phases of the moon, these cycles.
Phases that are not completely reliant on the menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
That's an aspect.
Right.
But
and
it's not.
I don't think it's a coincidence.
I don't think it's a coincidence, but that doesn't mean that it's the only thing that it's about.
Yeah. Because then we get into that weird, like, turfy shit.
Yeah.
Which we're not about here.
No.
But I don't know. I feel like there's some healing to be invited.
I think there is masculine healing through the triple goddess.
Right?
Honestly, let's teach a fucking class on that shit.
Like if young cis boys grew up to see like boyhood, or maybe it's just childhood. Maybe we can stop calling it boyhood. Like childhood as, you know, an opportunity to be experimental and to have fun and to see the beauty in the world.
And to have their innocence, this popped in my head, just have their innocence validated and valued.
Protected. Yes.
Like we do too much on little girls.
Yes.
Like your virginity.
Yeah. Or like,
What if male virginity was like precious to the church? I don't know.
I'm so fucking sick of those like t-shirts. I'm gonna sound like one of those fucking Pizzagate people, and I'm not. I'm not.
Starseeds.
Okay. But I really, as a parent, cannot stand the like little kid shirts that say like heartbreaker or your next boyfriend or shit like that. Or when adults go like, oh my God, when they like talk to little kids, who's your boyfriend? It's like immediately stop.
Him.
Immediately stop.
Yeah.
Heartbreaker.
Oh, little
Mommy's
tramp.
Little heartbreaker.
Mommy's little tramp
Mommy's
stamp.
little whore.
Mommy's little slut.
Mommy's little slut.
Ooh, hello. Maybe I am.
We just ventured into some queer kink.
Patreon.
I was just going to say follow us on Patreon. But yeah, I don't know. This dawned on me as we were talking about it.
Yeah.
Like, maybe all kids should be raised through this lens of the phases of the goddess.
What does that make you feel when you feel supported by the phases of the goddess? Like, what does that make you feel in a positive way?
It makes me feel like I'm meant to exist as a part of creation.
It makes me feel like I have the capacity to be different things and have the space to exist as I want to be.
Yes, like we are allowed.
Wouldn't that be nice for
I'm
little
crying.
boys to like feel? Because I feel like it's a one note thing. It's like provide,
be strong,
fight, don't cry,
eat red meat,
which
is fine.
I like
it's
red
delicious.
Meat. We like
I would
meat
love
here.
a little wagyu.
I'm not mad at a tartar. I'm hungry. Shit.
We're always Lucifer's Pizza, sponsor us.
This is why we need a pizza place to fucking sponsor us.
Please.
Fuck. Do you know what I mean?
Don't make us light a candle. But yeah, like I just feel like it would be a different, and I think that world has existed, and you know, there are parts of this planet and there are people of this planet that still engage in life through a matriarchal society, a matriarchal perspective. But like, wouldn't that be cool if that was just the fucking
but
norm?
You know why it can't be?
Because of white supremacy,
religion,
and Christianity,
white supremacy. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Again.
Fuck you.
Again.
Yeah.
It is the reason why we can't have nice things.
Yeah. It started with patriarchy and evolved into white supremacy, and like Christianity is that modern day vehicle, just like religious extremism in general. Like, I know we badger the Christians a lot, but like religious extremism in general,
the bad Christians,
really
the mean
is
Christians,
like the vehicle to continue perpetuating it, because they're like,
honestly,
God is a dude. Excuse me, I burped.
But it's maybe, you know, I think that Jane Harrison and fucking Mariha and all these fucking people, the Cambridge ritualists, were correct in thinking there was a massive single female deity based society.
Yeah. I think a lot of
I think they were focusing on in Europe.
In Europe, yeah.
Because
and even in Europe, you go back to like the Morrigan and like she's part of the like triple goddess lore as well.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of like
Who are some of your favorite maidens?
Okay. Glad you asked. Obviously Artemis. Artemis. Yeah. I'm an Artemis. Artemis, because she's strong. And you know what's really interesting? Side note. I was thinking about like, why am I so into Greek mythology? And I think it's because it was what helped me. It was what showed itself to me. I'm like a wee bit Greek, but like not really. But like, it's so prevalent in just, it's well documented. I had to do a book report on it when I was in the second grade, and I went, phew, that's what I believe. Like that, those are the faces and the energies that I can name and connect with.
I feel like the kids who are into Greek mythology and ancient Egypt are all witches and mystics now.
Literally. But it's I mean, I didn't like, we all know, like, I didn't grow up with religion or any like idols to have other than like Britney Spears or whatever. We love Britney, but yeah.
We love Britney.
We love Britney.
She's kind of got maiden energy, Brittany.
Right now, yeah.
She's got big maiden energy right now.
I love it. Brittany, that's a really good, let's get into that, because Brittany is just topless, spinning around naked, pissing people off, saying, fuck you. That's a maiden shit.
That's a maiden shit. She doesn't
I am
give a
here
fuck.
for it. And she's like, you know what? Fuck you. I was locked up for 15 years. Fuck you. I'm going to say what I want.
And show whatever parts of my body I want.
Yeah.
And, you know, she makes like this incredible...
Unhinged in the best way.
What are you doing? What is she doing? She's always naked on Instagram. She's like, my body was literally paraded around in outfits on stages against my will. And you're shitting on me for like enjoying myself.
And having a pretty wild train of thought typing style.
Yeah,
like,
this poor bitch has had so much information stuck inside of her.
Have you not read
for
Vonnegut?
Over a decade.
She's a genius.
She is the people's new Vonnegut.
She is the people's Vonnegut. Truly. It's unhinged in the best way.
Unhinged in the best way.
That is some maiden shit. But
Artemis.
I'm also very... Athena is also considered a virgin goddess.
Yes.
Real smart. These are just goddesses that were never married and never had children in a conventional way or had them at all. Which I'm very into. And Hestia is another goddess that I include in my home because it's fascinating to me that Hestia is a virgin goddess, but is the goddess of home and hearth.
I think that's fucking cool.
Because when you think of home and hearth, who's the home and hearth goddess? You think it's going to be a mother goddess, but it's not. It's Hestia. Because the hearth is not just a place, it's like you. The hearth is like the heart almost. It's like the center of something. It's the
hearth is the heart of
Hestia
the home.
like maintains the shit. That's why my house is clean.
Well, and also it's a really good reminder that like I think that in our current culture, you know, the mother figure is expected to do so much by themselves. They're expected to keep the house clean and organized, to keep food in the pantry and like warm pots on the stove, to keep the kids clothed and entertained and educated, to do all of the household management, to do anything and everything related to the maintenance of a home. And realistically, one human cannot do all of that shit. So I personally think it's really like fucking affirming that like Hestia, who does not have like direct children of her own, is the one that's like, no, I got the kitchen. I got this.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, your chimney will be swept.
Yeah. Like we're supposed to have help.
Yeah. It's the community and the help that I'm sure existed in Greek culture.
Yeah.
And was like reflected through their choice of home goddess.
Yeah.
right?
I love Hestia.
I love Hestia a lot. And so, yeah, what about you?
Some of my faves are folk saints.
Nice.
Some of them are officially canonized, but one of my favorites, of course, who's my namesake, is Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc is considered a maiden because she was unmarried and virginal. But what I love about Joan is that she doesn't have that like innocent save me quality of the maiden. Like she was literally a warrior. Like Artemis. Exactly. She was a warrior. She's kind of like a non-binary icon, a trans icon, because she cut off all of her hair and wore men's armor and suiting so that she could fight for a country that eventually burned her at the stake.
Oopsies.
As they do. And then like a few hundred years later, they're like, oh, she's a saint now.
She's like, fuck you, I'm not your saint.
I love Joan of Arc as like a queer trans icon, like an asexual icon.
What's the gay pantheon? Like
the gay pantheon.
Artemis.
Joan
of Arc.
Who else? I read this comic called Lore Olympus, and in it, Hestia and Artemis are together. Isn't that cute?
Hestia can be there too.
Another maiden that I love is Saint Lucy. And Saint Lucy was supposed to be engaged to a local like governor, like a Roman governor. And this was at the time when Christians were radicals. Christians were a threat to modern society because Christ was like, give all your shit away, share all your stuff with everybody, fuck the rich, like, let's do something different.
Thieves in the temple.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a great Prince song.
Shake shit up. Thank you, Prince.
Come quick.
So Lucy was a Christian during this time, and like Rome had come through, and they were like persecuting Christians. Like Christians today still like to pretend that it's happening to them, and it's not. You're the dominant culture.
All lives matter.
I saw this poll that said like white Christians think they are the most oppressed group in the United States of America. Like, what?
I mean, when you're told something enough times.
But anyway, so Saint Lucy had this dream where another saint came to her, and because of this, like the saint gave her these mystical powers of healing, and she was able to cure her mother's illness through it. And she was supposed to be engaged to this like shitty Roman governor of sorts, and she refused. She was like, no, I'd rather literally give away all of my inheritance and say fuck you. So they ordered her to be defiled at a brothel as
free?
her punishment. Because she was a virgin. So they're like, let's take away
They had a
this
male
thing.
brothel? Or was it not?
I don't fucking know.
What kind of brothel was this?
But when the guards came to take her away, they were unable to move her from her chair. They couldn't pick her up and lift her. They tried hitching her to a wagon with oxen pulling it, and they could not get it out. So finally, they resorted to putting bundles of wood all around her, and they like lit her on fire.
Oh no.
And they like stabbed her, and like
shit.
the legend is that her body, like she removed her own eyes.
Tight.
Because her suitor was obsessed with them. He was like, they're so beautiful. They're so beautiful. So she like pulled them out of her fucking skull. And because of that, she's like a patroness of clairvoyance because of her eyes. And like the legend goes that when her body was being prepared for burial, her eyes were restored.
That's fucking metal.
Right? Magical. Metal.
That's metal as fuck.
Metal.
Ooh, yeah. I was thinking of when they were trying to get her out of the chair. I thought about when little kids do this.
Yeah, that's exactly. Same energy. They just become
like,
dead weight.
That's what she did. She was just like,
you thought we were leaving Disneyland, Mom, but you're wrong.
You thought you could pick me up, but I'm going to have a tantrum.
Exact same thing.
It's very effective.
Energy. It's effective.
Self-defense 101. Go boneless.
Truly.
Oh my God.
Do we want to switch into questions?
Yeah.
Do we have spirit candy?
I don't have any candies for you today.
I don't have any candies now.
I know we have a lot of questions.
Have some for next episode.
Yeah, that was really good.
We have a ton of questions.
Why don't I'll save mine for the next part of this journey.
Questions.
Yeah.
Okay. Fear in craft. From Amy. How do you expel fear in your craft? I'm always paranoid about opening up to something I shouldn't unintentionally, like negative entities, etc. But I feel that my fear also holds back my true potential. Thank you. From Amy.
That's it's such a personal thing. I would say first off, is it fear or is it your intuition telling you not to do something, right? Discerning between those two things, which is hard.
Well, and usually your intuition speaks in a whisper and your anxiety screams. Yeah. It makes your whole body activated, your heart's racing. That's not how intuition communicates with us, because intuition desires to be heard, not to be feared. I think that it says that I looked a little bit deeper and I noticed that you said you do ground and you do your protection, which is amazing. When we think about the Fool card in the tarot, in front of the Fool is this giant cliff, but in their heart is this desire that they need to move forward, not knowing if there's another step below that cliff or their imminent plunge into
demise.
The abyss. But they know they have to take a chance on themselves anyway. And I invite you, especially if your intuition is telling you to do something and your fear is fighting against it, to be brave and do it anyway. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is taking action with that fear present. And sometimes we have to do scary things to have incredible experiences. Mm-hmm. Like the first time swimming in a pool, the first time going into the ocean. These can all be really scary moments. But the more you do it, the more you realize okay, there are things that I can do in this situation that make me feel safe and comfortable. And I can do this. And so you kind of just have to take a chance on yourself and decide to do it anyway. Especially if you're already doing your due diligence with grounding and protection. That's great. So now, go into the unknown.
Right. I think part of actually creating things for yourself and knowing that things are as they should be when you're, especially when you're pre-ritual protection and things like that, is trusting yourself. That I think that's essential for a successful boundary, is knowing that what you did is and so it is. That's what that phrase for me means, is it is that way because I just made it that way.
Ooh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I like that.
So yes. I think maybe just trusting, don't second guess yourself when you're protecting yourself or when you're setting up those, trust those parameters because find a way to make them more tangible to yourself, because that's where your power comes in, right? So yeah, that's another element. But yes, everything.
I like that.
Everything you said makes perfect sense.
Let's see. This is a long one. How about this one?
I wasn't going to say it, but I did. Really annoying today. Sorry, everybody.
I'm a baby witch. Will spooky things always mess with me, or will I ever get a break from this? From Aisha True. So, if spooky things are messing with you...
That might not have anything to do with being a baby witch.
Yeah, I don't think
the two are related.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. I think that being a witch, if anything, is going to help empower you to do the things to make the spooky shit stop.
Yes.
So depending on what it is, like honestly, a good cleansing of yourself and your space are a great place to start. Enchanting protection talismans, coming up with a protection ritual, something you can say to yourself regularly, are good ways to help calm the spooky stuff down. And it's also very possible that, like, especially when you're new to your craft, sometimes the spooky stuff is your guides. Mm-hmm. Like, sometimes the spooky stuff is your good spirits and they just really want your attention.
Yeah, I'd guess just evaluate, like, how long has it been happening? What kind of spooky stuff is going on? Is this like, I've been seeing ghosts since I was a little kid sort of thing? Like, maybe you have some other gifts too that need a little bit of assist, you know? And I absolutely agree that, like, leaning into the witchcraft doesn't make things scarier. It makes things better.
I agree. It makes easier.
It makes you stronger, and it puts you back in the power.
And also, like, divination can help you a lot here. Because if you call in your protection, ask your good guide to be with you, even if you don't know who they are, and pull a few tarot cards about whatever spooky stuff is going on. Mm-hmm. Is this something I should be worried about? What is the source of whatever is happening? Because you might find that it's like your great grandma, or like maybe it's a grumpy house spirit and you need to deal with that accordingly. But divination will help offer you some clarity. But again, but if it's witchy, gnarly
shit, maybe reach out for some help to someone like Kaitlyn or someone that
and if you need
Kaitlyn
recommendations, like, let us know in the DMs, because we can refer you to some people.
Yes.
Should we do one more question?
Let's do one more.
Okay, why not? What do you think? This is from Feeling Loudly. What do you think about the concept of energy vampires / how do you deal with draining people?
Well. Ain't that the question of the day for me? I don't give them my energy to drain if I can help it. Again, with the boundaries, again, with the protection, again, with just cutting them out of your life. That's the Laura answer. But if it's somebody that you live with or that you can't avoid, doing some magical protection and boundaries and cord cutting
can go a long way.
Yeah.
If it's somebody that you work with that's particularly draining, I've found that carrying hematite is especially helpful.
That's good grounding.
Because it's A, grounding, B, the, like, darkness of the stone helps absorb some of that, like, draining energy that's being directed towards you, and the reflectiveness of the stone helps send some of it back to where it came from. I was taught to carry it in my left pocket, but you do you. But honestly, like Laura said, like, having firm psychic boundaries where you can't have, like, literal physical boundaries is very helpful. Protecting your crown when you know you're going to be around somebody who's draining is helpful. But also, like, saying no. When it's safe for you to say no, say no.
The problem I'm having right now with certain people that are just kind of not healthy for me is like the act of confrontation is more hindering than it is helpful, because these people are so delusional that they just gaslight the shit out of me. And it's just draining in itself to even confront. So
because it's not going to change anything.
Sometimes that's not the answer. Sometimes it is.
Yeah.
But and sometimes that act of confrontation, they'll just leave you alone after that and cut you out of their life. That's happened to me numerous times.
Yeah.
Because people don't like that. But if it's especially, like, evaluate if it's going to be helpful for you. Can you handle it?
Is this a relationship you want to keep? And if so, then you have to have that confrontation. Like,
sometimes passivity is the answer. Just letting things fade and letting things be as they are. And just worrying about yourself and not engaging further.
Unfollow,
block.
That's
mute.
Psychic protection for sure.
That's absolutely. Yeah.
Remove them from following you.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. If people are, and definitely evaluate if that's something you want to fix.
Yeah.
Then you may have to, like, confront at some point. But plan that out and don't act rashly, and think about your mental health.
Exactly. Yeah. How safe are you doing this, and like how much physical access do they have to you? And also, like, I say this all the time, but like, consult your cards, consult your good spirits, because they can show you the best way to manage it, because psychic vampirism is very real, and sometimes people are consciously doing it and sometimes they're unconscious of what they're doing. But that doesn't mean that it should still be your problem.
Yeah, no, it's a very real thing, and it's a very human issue, human to human,
and honestly,
and also spirit to human.
Yeah, spirits can be,
however,
energy vampires too.
Absolutely. I think that's more the common, common way to think about that concept. But yeah, humans are the worst.
Yeah, it's exactly like Colin and What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah,
exactly like that.
That's who I was thinking of too. Oh my God,
he's an excellent example of an energy vampire.
It's hard. Yeah, we all have some sort of issue with an energy vampire from time to time. So,
and sometimes it's unavoidable. So do what you can to spiritually and psychically protect yourself in those cases.
Or energy vampire them back, and then they'll get annoyed.
LMAO.
Do some mirror magic. Look, bitch, this is what you're doing to me.
I am obsessed with that idea, especially if it's like your boss.
Yeah. It depends on who it is, but
I love that.
Don't be afraid to fight back and protect yourself.
I did that
at all
with my last boss. I like flipped it and just started noticing the things that would drain her, and I was like, oh.
So fun. Be a little shit.
Yeah.
Hermes would do that.
That's Maiden energy.
What would the trickster do? Is Maiden trickster? A little bit.
A little bit. I think so.
A little bit. So.
Well, thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Kaitlyn.
And thank all of you for tuning in again to our award-winning show,
Third Eye Bind.
Be sure to give us a call on the Third Eye line.
Thank you.
Or leave us a DM.
Or just DM us. It's on our highlight. Okay.
Until next week.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening. You can follow the podcast at Third Eye Bind Pod on Instagram. There, submit your questions via the Third Eye line by sending us a voice message or text DM. The show is available wherever you listen to podcasts and for you to watch on YouTube. Get early access to episodes and even monthly one-on-one sessions with us by joining our Patreon. Find us at patreon.com/thirdeyebind. Third Eye Bind is produced and edited by Mike Realm. Hosted by Kaitlyn Grania and Laura Wong. Music by Mike Realm. Set design by Laura Wong. You can find Laura on Instagram at Lady Moon Co. And you can find Kaitlyn on Instagram at Spirit Garden Tarot.